Kris, thank you so much for joining us. Defensive lineman from Richmond. I imagine you had a lot of options of where to go to school.
hmm
Why Old Dominion?
Um, when I first talked to Coach Ronnie, he was honest with me, kept it real with me, and then he also stayed in contact with me and let me know, he showed me how much he would like to have me here. So kind of trusted Coach Ronnie from the beginning, and he told me he had a plan. I decided to stick with it.
So, being from Richmond, there must have been an idea of what you thought Old Dominion was. How close to it were you?
Um,
Did you have any misconceptions that were proven wrong?
I didn't know how close it was to the beach, so they say play by the bay, but it's really true, and also it's kind of always had a culture of working hard, So when I first got here, obviously I worked hard, but sometimes this is on a different level, working hard, and it really brings everybody together.
All right. So, at the end of the season, Coach talked about his one-on-one meetings with players. How did that go for you?
I don't know it pretty well. We were kind of on the same page, about how the season went and what we should do moving forward to achieve greater success. And I could say it was a pretty good talk. We talked about things I could have perfected this season, or most recent season, and things that I could have done better. It gave me some areas of things I got to work on, to improve.
All right. So, that leads into the workout plan and the
hmm
diet plan for this
hmm
offseason. Obviously, that's developed with Coach Snodgrass.
hmm
What was that looking like for you?
For me, obviously get bigger, faster, stronger, but more so eat the right things so that I can produce at my top speed longer, and cut down on, obviously cut down on some body fat, so I can just be a little bit more, show a little bit more tenacity on the field, for a longer period of time. So with that being said, like working on extra conditioning, not just conditioning, running real hard, every rep, trying to win. There's a couple guys in here that to help me do that. We push each other, but they're really keying in on my weaknesses, and trying to make them strengths.
So, you guys get to go against the offensive line a lot in practice.
hmm
Who's that guy on the offensive line that you kind of measure yourself against? Go, if I can beat this guy, I'm on
hmm
the right track.
Santana Saunders, man, big, tall, big guy, and he's big, but he's lean, you know what I'm saying? So he can move pretty well. He's real stable, got real good balance, and yeah, going against him, he's been here since I got here, so he has a lot of experience. And he's been with guys like Ike Weaver, Sal Saldivar, guys like that, big have big impacts at ODU, and are still impacting the football game today. So, you know, just going against him, man, he got a lot of he has a lot of experience with these kind of things. So, I sit and I talk with him. We talk about football all the time. I let him know what I know about D line. He talks to me what he knows about O line. We just go at it every practice. Even over the summer, we talk we make sure we at least what I'm saying, get a little bit of work in together, so we can be the best we can for next season.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes, sir.
All right. So, you talked about the diet and how
hmm
you had to eat a little bit better so you can
hmm
have better stamina during games.
hmm
When you're feeling like that cringe, you got to eat something. What is that guilty pleasure for you?
Oh man, it's a variety of things, huh? Mm. It's a variety of things. I like Popeyes, man. Popeyes gets me, man. They give me. If I'm the 4 for Wendy, I'm trying to stay away from those. But more so, it's really the little snacks, Really trying to stay away from the little Debbie snacks or the bags of chips, things like that. Growing up, my mom was real strict about we ain't have it all, so you never could enjoy those things. But now that I what I'm saying, I have the ability to do so, it's kind of I kind of went crazy with it. So I'm trying to stay away from it, man.
All right. So, you signed with the collective.
Mhm.
How has that process been for you, and how has that support from the fans make your process easier?
The process has been wonderful. It's been actually been pretty easy, and with the fans, the ODU fan base, man, that's one thing that I didn't expect when I got here. Should have said that, but the fan base, man, they all show support. It's a different kind of love. You come from like, you know, nobody knowing you, and then everybody showing you love. It's like that's why I love ODU, man. That's why I love ODU. Like the fan base is where it starts, but like with the collectives and everything, they all show support. I feel like it's a way to like actually show your support towards the ODU athletes, as a collective. So it's been a great experience.
Awesome. And then this year, what have you kind of put down as your goals for this season?
Really just my first goal is obviously, I'm an older guy now, so I'm trying to step up in that stage of my life, become a leader, some of these young guys coming in, we got a lot of new people, try to get them adapt to the culture, our ODU, our character be character, I want to know mentality, and really just like dominate on the field. I've been doing a lot of good things, here and there. I feel like I'm really just trying to focus in on like really dominating, being a dominating factor, where guys is like some guys that I want to compare myself to, like Denzel Lowry, like he's a dominating force on the field. Love playing across from him, I'm also trying to like, be on that kind of level.
All right. Do you have a message for fans you want to close out with, or your family?
Well, I love you. Tell you keep going. Couldn't do it without y'all. Thank you, Grandma, everybody. And ODU fans, thank you for showing support. I feel all the love. Thank y'all so much. Yeah.
All right. Thanks, man.
All right,
Appreciate it.
Thank you.